This is an after-school program podcast.
Welcome to the Home Studio Hangout podcast, where we explore what it's like building, running, and working out of a home studio with your hosts, Joshua Matotek, Andrew Simmons, and many guests in different areas of the music industry.
Hello, we're back. Home Studio Hangout podcast. This is Josh over here with me. Yeah. Waving. Yeah. I'm Andrew. Good to be back. It has been, so for you guys, it hasn't been a minute for episodes, but we actually haven't recorded an episode in probably like 3 or 4 months, I think, at this point.
Yeah. I think the last one we did was in September.
Yeah, something like that. Holidays started hitting. Yeah, 3 or 4 months, bro. Yeah, it's been too long.
Wow, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, it's been holidays started hitting, and we started getting like super busy. And Josh moved. We caught him at the beginning of moving, but Josh moved back to Steel City, baby.
City of Champions! I can't wait to move again.
Pittsburgh, PA.
Oh, boy.
And as you can see, our recording situations have changed up a little bit. I actually have, like, decent stuff now. And Josh's camera looks a lot better.
Hey.
So we out here. But today, we just wanted to do, like, a little 2020 recap. It's the beginning of 2021, January 5th specifically when we're recording this. So we wanted to kind of do a conversation talking about kind of where we went in 2020 and kind of what happened, and see some growth points and some things we need to work on and some mistakes we made that we're like, let's learn from those and things like that.
I think part of this podcast, like starting out, we wanted to create this resource where it was all about like helping people navigate things as like, because like we're kind of like at that intermediate level, you know, like we haven't like quote unquote made it, but then we also aren't brand new to this. So we have some advice to offer, but I think like the coolest part of doing this podcast is the fact that like we're able to give our experiences as we're going through this. Because most of these podcasts, it has either people pretending that they know everything or they're people who actually know everything.
Yeah.
And so it's cool getting that perspective of like, oh, well, I'm almost at the finish line and I get to tell you the road that led up to that. But I think it's cool kind of like going through that in real time.
Yeah, being with the in the process.
Right,
in the process.
We're the home studio hangout, so you're gonna hang out, and we're all gonna do this together.
Yeah, it's
that was so cheesy, but
me and Josh both listen to a podcast, another one called "And the Writer Is" with Ross Goland. It's a solid one, and their kind of mindset is that they're the conversations that they have on their podcast is basically that little bit of time when everybody's catching up, talk about the industry, talk about that kind of stuff. That's where some really interesting conversations happen. And like, it's kind of the same thing for us. It's, you know, whenever something cool happens, me and Josh are in like 5 different group chats with other producers and songwriters and mix engineers that are killing it. And it's been really cool to be able to say, hey, I'm having this, this is happening, I'm having this issue, or I did this really cool thing. Tell me what you guys think. And getting that feedback with each other and with other people. So being able to kind of navigate the entirety of our career with other people has been really cool. And I know me and Josh learn a lot from those people as well, who we're going to have some of those people on to, I've already had a couple of them say that they were down. So we're going to have a couple of those people on to kind of talk about their experience and their whole navigation through their career and how they're killing it. So, yeah, My light just got really, really bright because the sun came out. That was
Must
weird.
be nice. I don't know what sun is up here.
Yeah. South Carolina versus Pittsburgh, man.
Trash.
Trash. Uh, but anyway, yeah. So we're kind of on this whole thing together. And I think, let's kind of get started. So, Josh, 2020, the year Josh got COVID, a deadly disease. Your boy was in Florida, started out in Florida, and ended up coming back. Let's kind of go through what are some highlights.
Highlights. I survived the plague, and I'm currently waiting on a test for my 4th COVID scare this year.
Your boy's going through it.
Yeah, man, I can't escape the plague. We moved to Florida 3 days after Christmas, and got to hang out and like explore St. Pete and all that, and then COVID happened. So we were kind of just like stuck in our apartment for the rest of the year, and it was a bad time. But it's a shame because I feel like I would really like that place if I could like actually do things, but since I was stuck inside and I got the plague, it was like just kind of lackluster at best.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever I first moved down there, I was getting out of my first major episode of burnout. So I was working with metal bands back here in Pittsburgh. I had my own little like studio space that I may or may not have been illegally subleasing from my friend who owns a business. And so whenever his business went under and he filed for bankruptcy, I had to move out. Like as soon as he let me know about that, I had to move out because they were afraid that like my assets would get seized along with his. And sure enough, if I hadn't moved out that day, then my all my gear would have been locked in. And which was illegal because he had rent paid for that month, so he didn't do anything legally about that. But
yeah,
he still got in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that whole thing happened. I lost a bunch of work because I had nowhere to record, and it's like I wasn't going to invite like a lot of the people I was working with. Like they were brand new to me, and I didn't really want strangers coming into my parents' house. Like just super unprofessional, you know.
Yeah.
And so I had to cancel a bunch of work. My income took a huge hit. Found out I was moving to Florida. I moved to Florida. And I get down there. I picked up a little day job, and I was like, let's figure out how to fix things. And then COVID happened. So I got some help, figured out exactly what I want to do, and in July of this year, I decided to make the push to get out of metal and start producing and writing pop. And it's been cool. It's kind of weird because I was at that point where things were just kind of catching on for me with metal. So I was having like, recurring clients, and I was like, I never had days where I just didn't have anything to do. It's not like I was booked up months in advance, but I was also fairly busy. And so it was really sobering feeling like I just like conquered the world and I took control and like switched over to a different genre only for me to realize this means I'm not going to have any clients.
Yeah.
But the reason why I did it that way is because I was so burned out on metal music that I knew if I continued working with those bands while I was trying to start up a new business technically, then I would never do it successfully. I would always do it half-heartedly. I'd always be bummed out on everything. So I was like, that's it. We're going back. We're getting a day job, and we're going to do this,
dude,
the right way.
And so this is something that I think everybody can learn from, because like I had to do the same thing with 2020. Like I was working at a Starbucks in the morning, early 2020, and I was on track to quit. Like I was touring enough that I was making, money on the side touring, and I had studio work coming through enough that I was like, I can make this happen. I can go, I'm full-time in audio. but I'm also aware of how finances work, so I'm a little skeptical of some, you know, the valleys can be really deep sometimes. So it's good to have that consistency, you know that. But I was so close to being able to just cut and be full time, touring musician on the side and doing audio work as the only thing that I did. Very cool, but then COVID happened, and I'm glad I didn't quit because everything, I won't say everything dried up, because I was able to, and we can go into this a little bit later when we go back to me, but I was able to keep my side job and also keep studio work going enough to never have to rely on any kind of government subsidy or anything like that. So it's not, especially when you make a big decision, it's not a bad thing to say, yeah, I'm just going to pick up a part-time job or like a full-time job that
Yeah.
I do
So
on the side.
I actually have a ton to say about that because like not only am I an Aquarius, but I'm a type 3 wing too.
Yeah.
So like what I do is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really hard for me. Like whenever I lost the studio space and I took that huge income dip, like I was so stubborn about getting a job. And so my thought process was I'm just going to get something like simple. So like I got a job at Starbucks
Mm-hmm.
and I very quickly realized I need more money.
Yeah.
So I quit and I went back to the car industry, which is where I worked before I went full time in audio.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working at this really trash dealer down in Florida. Shout out to Fusillo Nissan of Clearwater.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was really, really hard. Like it was a hostile work environment. And
Mm-hmm.
it was really hard to like work there and then come home and then work on music. But it gave me freedom whenever I realized that what I do is not who I am,
Yeah.
and that's something that Matt Rad and John Castelli talk about on their podcast Live with Matt Rad is um separating what you do from like yourself.
Yeah. Not completely embodying what you do as a job. You can't, your complete self-worth can't be based on what your job is. Like,
Right.
because jobs change. You may decide that you hate what you do. You may decide that, like, if you had completely based yourself on, oh, I sell cars, but you hate selling cars, by that logic, you hate yourself. And that's not fun. So
No,
it's
it
not a good
took me a
thing.
long time to get to that point where it's like I am just a guy who likes to watch anime, who likes how modular Fender guitars are, but then I also just happen to do audio and sell
Mm-hmm.
cars. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so I kind of got over that in Florida, and then we moved back, and I hit up my old manager. Shout out to Barrel Toyota. If you're ever in the area, it's the only dealership I trust. And they were just like, yeah, man, we missed you. Come back. And so I'm in the internet department there right now. And it's been hard, man. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
basically pulling 16-hour days right now between both jobs.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm making really good money. And it's giving me freedom to build my business faster than I ever was because now I don't need that $1,500 per song.
Mm-hmm.
I literally had 3 people this week hit me up and I was like, yeah, just send me stuff. I'll do it. Like, let's just work.
Yeah.
Don't worry
Build that
about paying me
catalog.
if you want to tip me. Like, that's cool. But, like, I just want to make good art because I need it right now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, it kind of makes me feel better that I
Mm-hmm.
can, like,
Well,
help
and,
people out,
and also, like, at a time when you need to be available to do a lot of stuff, it gives you the ability to take I don't know, the gigs that are like, hey, this has a ton of potential, but they can
Yeah,
pay me literally nothing
exactly.
or next to nothing. You don't have to be like, oh, well, I can't take this gig because they're only offering me like $100 or $200, or even if it's like, oh, they can only like pay for my gas to get there, or give me $50. It's, oh, I can totally do that because I don't 100% rely on that income. And that's actually where I kind of like to be at least right now, until I'm doing like a guaranteed amount of money of like thousands of dollars. I like having something on the side so that I can be a little more choosy about
Right.
what I'm working on.
Yeah, like it's just crazy because before, like, I had a lot of pride whenever people would ask me what I did, and I'd be like, "Oh, like I make records for a living,"
Mm-hmm.
you know. But now I'm able to tell people, "Yeah, I'm working on the biggest projects in my life,"
Yeah. No, you
which feels a
legitimately
lot
are.
better. Like I'm literally working on the biggest projects in my life right now. I'm getting paid less for them up front, but I'm able to do that now. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to be a writer, but being a writer doesn't make sense for artists who get 1,000 streams because traditionally a writer is paid on the back end on royalties.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can't make a living off of, 30% of publishing on 1,000 streams.
Yeah.
Even if you did 300 artists a year, you can't live off of that. And so now this is allowing me to focus on the things that I love. And that's really cool. It's really
Yeah.
freeing. And plus, it helps now that I'm back in Pittsburgh because, like, I'm working for people that I respect. Like, all of, like, the entire management staff there are, like, just hands down the best people I've ever worked for. Well, worked with,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's just been, it's been really cool. I feel like I'm in the best place I've ever been,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm not relying on audio work.
And like, I know what projects you're working on. We can't say because NDAs and stuff like that, and
Boy, I'm not that big.
pitching.
Chill.
Well, no, but they're pitching,
Yeah, I mean they are pitching,
and you
so
can't really say anything. So, but I know what you're working on, and it is legitimately career potential making stuff. Like, but you would there's no way you would have been able to take it had you not like been there, because we know how well connected some of these people are.
mm-hmm.
But they just don't have the money up front. It's just not in their budget. But now you get your name on that stuff. You get put into the conversation with some of these
Yeah.
people.
Well, and then on top of that, you have to figure like, why would they pay me $1,500 if they have the budget to pay a big producer $5,000?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So now I'm able to like walk in and be like, hey, let me write on this. Like, let's do this, and they're
Yeah.
like, sure.
And you just negotiate back end points.
Yeah. Like it's simple, and at this
Yeah.
point, it's like I don't even care because I'm making the most amount of money I've ever made
That's
because like this dealership is nuts. Like I hate to like hop on my audio podcast and like talk all about cars, but this is the first time I've ever actually been stoked on my day job.
That's
Our
fair.
dealership is the highest performing dealership in our region, and I've never seen a dealership gross this much money per month. And it's all ethical.
Heck yeah.
Like most car dealerships, like they give people whack deals. They'll prey
Mm-hmm.
on like low income communities and give them subprime interest rates, like the place in Florida. They'll, just do really shady stuff. But we're in a place where the annual median income is very high,
Mm-hmm.
and we're selling a great brand. And I'm not the one selling cars. I work in the internet department,
Yeah,
and I'm able to do what I'm good at, which
for
is
sure.
talking to people. And it's just really cool, like
Yeah,
for the first time ever being pumped on my day job.
for sure.
And I will be sad whenever I leave there,
Yeah.
like 100%.
Well, I mean,
And that's
dude,
okay,
so
like
I'm kind of in the same situation of like, so after pandemic started slowing down in South Carolina, as far as slowing down goes, is
oh,
like,
must be nice.
yeah, by slowing down, I mean people started taking it less lockdown serious. Stuff started opening back up again, is what I mean. Um, I reached out to a friend and got hired at like an actual coffee shop, like not a Starbucks. So, but I see, the thing about me is I love coffee. I love like the creation of it, the making of it, like being able to the time spent on making pour overs, doing latte art, like fun stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. So I don't necessarily didn't want to give it up. I actually wanted to level up in that way, and I kind of did. I know way more than I ever would have just working at a Starbucks, working at an actual coffee shop. So, like, I leveled up in other places in my life that has actually made my life a little better. I love who I work with. The flexibility that they give me is amazing. The quality of what we do, and we do it really ethically, is really awesome. And working for a small business is super cool. I'm learning a ton as far as, if I ever wanted to open up a shop of any kind on the side and like just own it and hire people to manage it, I know what that I'm learning what that looks like.
Yeah, isn't that cool? I'm like,
yeah, dude.
I realized the other day
business.
that I'm like 2 steps below a manager right now.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like I'm almost at manager point. Like,
yeah.
like I was talking to Maddie about it today, and I was like, if I ever have to do this again, like I could probably get a management position, which is really cool. I mean, those guys make a ton of money, like a ton of money. But it's just like
you're learning a bunch about sales. There's like, it's more than just a job. It can be weird because the end goal for us and for probably the people that listen to this is I want to make music for a living, right? I want to do something with music as my only job. I think that's a little short-sighted. I think that you can learn a bunch from a non-music job that will influence what you do in your music job and make you better at that thing.
Yeah, prime example of that. I mean, I know we did an episode on it, but we could probably just scrap that episode because I'm about to talk about it right now. But
no, it's already released at this point.
Oh, it's already released?
Yeah,
oh,
but
jeez. Anyway, so
it's good. I mean, the sales conversation is good. It's learning, like, you're learning sales in its most basic form.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And so like before I even started working with like a business coach who like dove into this stuff and all that, like I learned how to talk to people on the phone, which is really important because you don't get like the body language like whenever you're in person. And so it's a completely different skill set than being able to sell something to somebody in person.
Yeah.
And so I learned all that early on whenever I was working in a BDC, but then as I transitioned to audio, I saw the similarities. And so it was only natural for me to like send emails in a similar format and talk to people in a similar format. And we're going to put all that stuff, I'm going to work on a guide for that and just put it out for free because like the companies that got me that training paid thousands of dollars for it. And a lot of these like consultants or whatever for audio guys are going to charge you
way more than
ton of money as well. But I'll just put it all out there for free because if you look in the right places, not specific to audio, you'll find basically the same thing. And
all business is pretty much the same.
All business is the same. Humans are humans, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like different kinds of humans. You just change a few things. You know, it's kind of like if you're working with like you know, a guitarist, right? Typically, you could like beat on them a little bit more than you can a vocalist because the guitarist isn't pouring out his heart and soul into the lyrics of the song, you know? And so like it's the same thing. Like there's like a different level of just understanding that you have to get to, and
For sure.
you know, how to say in the shortest amount of time that like my intentions are to help you. I want to make sure I'm a good fit, and then if that's cool, then we'll make it work. You know? And like there's just certain ways to navigate those 3 points. And yeah, so like it's been a huge help going through all that, and it's been cool seeing business from a different angle once again.
Yeah.
because that's kind of where I started in the whole sales realm, and then I
Yeah.
went to audio, and it was a bit different, and now I'm back, and it's
You're
just a
kind of
cool
learning
perspective.
how to do both.
Yeah, yeah, and it's actually really cool. Like I said, just being stoked on it for once,
Hmm.
because I don't even think I talked about my day job on the podcast yet.
You
But
talked a little bit about it. I think you talked about it before you got the job in Florida. I think. I don't remember. You talked about it. You mentioned it before, but not in a detail as far as
yeah,
like what we did on the side. I don't think we both mentioned what we did on the side. Um,
yeah, I don't think so.
but yeah, we both
I
have
swear I'm not
like
picking my nose. There's
I
like a little it's cold up here, so my face is like peeling. I need to get back
got
on the skincare regimen. So,
you. No, so I think like you said at the beginning, we're both in this intermediate spot where it's like if things were cheaper, like if life was cheaper, or we weren't like basically if we were by ourselves completely, we could if we were by ourselves completely, we could totally probably make this happen. We could probably go full time, but the reality is that life doesn't work like that. And like I'm married and I have a baby on the way. You're in a super long-term relationship that is not going anywhere. So, you mean
well,
you moved.
that's like without like diving into Maddie's like personal stuff,
Yeah.
like, spilling it to the world.
Yeah.
We're back here because COVID ruined a lot of things.
Mhm.
And that's part of the reason why I got the job, is because like I wanted to be ready, so like if she gets an opportunity in Nashville or something like that, I'm able to be like, all right, sick, let's go,
Yeah.
you know? And that's the main, because like I could easily just be hanging out at my parents' house right now and just be doing music all day.
Yeah.
But
But now you're setting yourself up for success in the future.
right, because I didn't the first time around. I remember the first time, like I wasn't expecting just how like inconsistent freelancing
Mhm.
can be. Like I knew it could be rough. I didn't know it could be that rough. And I remember
Mhm.
one month I made like 4 grand, and then the next month I made like $500. And so like I started burning through my like savings that I set aside.
Mhm.
And my expenses weren't even that high. And I was like, well, okay, this time around I need to have like 20 grand saved, especially because I just started doing pop music and it's not going to be consistent for like another year and a half.
Yeah, because it's just a
So,
harder place to break into
yeah,
just
so
in
it's
general.
like, I'm over here just grinding. I'm
Yeah,
ready,
dude.
man. I'm ready.
I'll go through my beginning versus now. So, which I did a little bit, but I'll kind of touch on that. So I started the year, um, with the goal of by the end of the year. So I make like a numbers goal by the end of the year. I try to double whatever I bring in for the past couple years, and I've been pretty good at it the last couple years. Um, since going like full time, I try to double every year until I reach. I have a number in mind, but until I reach that number, I'm gonna try and double it to get to that number every year. So I started out pretty strong, booked a bunch of stuff. Some stuff got canceled, some stuff got pushed back when COVID happened. I ended up pivoting because no one was wanting to do any in-person stuff. So I ended up pivoting to pitching myself as a source for churches whenever they needed live mixing for their streams because no one was going to church. So all these churches were trying to figure out what to do. So I hit up every church that I knew and said, "Hey, for X amount of dollars for this month, I'll do a mix on and a little bit of some editing on your songs for your church service that you're going to post." Because I found the first week that everybody did it, everybody's streams were terrible. They sounded so bad. and people were I mean, I was complaining about it. It was awful. People don't know how to live stream, so, and it's expensive to do it correctly. I'm learning that as I'm getting more into Twitch and things like that. It's very expensive to do it correctly. So I pitched myself as the option of, hey, you can make your church service sound really good. You just give me X amount of dollars every week or every month, and I will make sure it sounds amazing. Got like 3 or 4 churches on that. So that helped me kind of get through the first little bump of everybody pulling back. I was able to kind of subsidy that a little bit. So, and I do think that says something for being flexible, and you could probably speak to this, being flexible and being ready to pivot regardless of what's happening. Like if I was stuck in saying, no, I only want to do this kind of music, and I only want to do like tracking, or I only want to do like, my goal for 2020 was to be only doing post-production, like only doing synth work for the year. So that, had I stuck to that, I'd be screwed right now.
Oh, same here. Like, I feel like a lot of people just like lay out this plan, right? And it's like, well, I did this year, right? Said, okay, well, by month 3, I'm going to be making X amount. By month 6, I'm going to be making X amount. And I'm going to be posting this. I'm going to be posting that. I'm going to have this many conversations. This many conversations is going to convert to X amount of, proposals.
Dollars.
And it's like, you can do that, and that's great. But at the end of the day, we're also talking about art. And art is not a rigid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Well, and
Like,
so we're talking about art, and we're talking about people.
yeah, and we're talking about people.
Two of the things that like require the most flexibility.
Right. And so, understanding that like sometimes you have to do things that you don't necessarily love is super important, because if I didn't do that, I'd be financially ruined right now. If you didn't do that, you'd be in the same boat.
Oh yeah, we just bought a house. And so
You just bought a house.
I had to make the pivot because we have to pay our mortgage.
And you're gonna have to buy diapers soon, dude.
I know.
And
That was before that was even a thing.
And it's like there's no shame in not just doing that one thing in your head, because I'd rather be, like somebody whose mortgage is paid on time and has a kid with everything that they need, than somebody who's just like, sticking to their
say that
ambitions.
They can do music.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, talk is kind of cheap.
Well,
and I'd rather be like safe than, broke.
Well, and being able to provide for your significant other and your family is more important than the pride of being able to say, I only do music.
Yep. Dude, that's like a tough pill to swallow.
Dude,
that was so hard for me, because like,
yeah,
I don't know, I had to do a lot of growing up this year. Like, for those who don't know, I'm 23, and since I live in the north, like, I haven't gotten married, and I lived at home until this year.
Yeah.
And
for those that
all
don't
my
know,
southern friends are like, I moved out at 16, got married at 17, and I have 5 kids and 3 houses.
Well,
I'm like, you're 22. I just clip my mic so hard. This gain is so hot. Get D-clip ready.
I got married at 25, and I'm 29, about to be 30, this year. But I got married at 25. We didn't buy a house until I was 29. 28 technically is when we bought the house, and I'll be almost 30. I'll be in 30 in this August, and I'll have a kid, which, like, to me that's like that's a good little timeline, but it is more, I mean, I still had to learn this. Like I said, it is more important for me to think, okay, My wife is gonna be in the hospital for a long time. We need to have health insurance. We are gonna have to pay for things like doctor visits and setting up the baby room. And I also really like Dungeons and Dragons, and I really like to be able to do things with my time that aren't stressful. Like, that's a de-stressor for me. You started playing with us recently, but it's super fun. It's a de-stressor. I'd like to be able to have money to be able to spend on things that don't stress me out.
Yeah. Dude, that's so big. Like this past year I realized how much of an escape video games are for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think that video games were a way to distract you from the things you should be doing. And I realized that video games are very much a great way to get your head in a different place.
Yeah.
Um, like I don't want to call it meditation, but a similar idea to that, where
Well,
it's like, okay, well,
it's
I'm separating myself from where I'm at right now, but it's not always a coping mechanism. And even if it is a coping mechanism, that doesn't mean that it's bad. It could be really good, you know?
yeah.
And so I
It's giving your brain a break,
I
dude. It's giving your brain a break from thinking so hard all the time.
Yeah, so if we could get a cyberpunk thread below this video, let's talk about cyberpunk, because I just finished it once and I'm about to play it again so I could do all the side missions.
Well, and like same thing for me. I'm more into like Nintendo stuff. Obvious by my like Zelda figurines. But I got Breath of the Wild. I'm about to go through that. I got Super Mario like Galaxy and stuff like that.
Galaxy is such a good one.
Dude, yeah, and it came with a 3D pack of Galaxy, Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, I need to get that.
So
Maddie has a Switch and she loves it, and I've been thinking about buying like the big Switch so I could put it up on the screen. Because the lights are just a little too small for my hands and they cramp up.
Well, so I do the same thing though. It's like I play to de-stress. It's the same way I play D&D to de-stress. I love being able to just like role play something or crunch some numbers or
I love
it's
fun. RPGs because you're able to just put yourself into a different world.
You disassociate for a little bit in a good way.
In a good way, yeah. And like that's something that I've been trying to do is find other ways to like get away from a screen. And so I think once the weather gets nice, I'm going to start playing golf.
Ooh, nice.
Since I have a bunch of friends and coworkers who play golf.
Nice.
I just kind of want to start doing different things that help me get in a better headspace. You know,
when it gets less cold here, we're gonna start. So we have a
get out of here, dude. It's like 90 degrees where you're at right now.
Nah, it's like 30, 40, something
really?
like that. It was pretty cold earlier
today.
It's
that cold down there?
Mm-hmm. Oh. It's been cold the last like month.
Yeah,
it just gets cold at a weird time.
How about this one, dude? It's like 35 degrees outside, and I walked out, and I was like, I don't even need a jacket. It feels warm. Like, for those of you in the north, like, you all know that, like, once you've had X amount of, like, single-digit or, like, temperatures that start with a 1, once you have, like, 10 of those, 35 degrees, you're like, oh, it's basically fall.
It's summertime.
Let me put on some shorts and some flip-flops.
Yeah, dude. No, so I think we're gonna go start doing like we live by trails. We're gonna start doing some more biking, some more running, stuff like that. Trying to get out, get away from screens a little bit. It's the beginning of the year, so I always do a good like reading challenge throughout the year. Try to read X amount of books a year.
I've been slacking on my reading.
I did the back half of last year because I got so swamped with work.
Dude, your dogs are thriving right now.
Dude, I know. What the heck is happening right now? 1 second. I'm going to go.
They're just happy I'm here.
Yo, what up? Chill.
His dogs are the best. Whenever I stayed there overnight, his dogs woke me up in the morning, and then they like to hop up and they crawl underneath the covers and sit right on your feet. It's really warm. They're cute. You're not
What?
editing that out. I gave a
No,
commentary on what
I'm
your
not
dogs
gonna
are
edit
like.
it out. What'd you say?
I gave a commentary on what your dogs are like and how
Oh,
adorable they
they're
are.
cute. They're just little buggers that like to bark at everything that moves outside.
I don't blame them, dude. When I'm in a bad mood, I'm the same way.
This is my lawn. They're just old men.
Just, hey,
Get off
get
my
off my
lawn.
lawn!
That's all that is. Anyway, so yeah, I made it through like the COVID thing. I switched jobs over from Starbucks to this coffee shop, which I'm super stoked about. Getting some free coffee, learning about higher level coffee, learning about espresso, latte art, where coffee comes from, how to do everything. So I'm really stoked about that. And then I started work. I finally had time to work on my room. For those that are watching the YouTube portion of this, like my room looks so much better. I got a good desk. Me and Shama, who runs the after school program with me in PD, we were able to do a bunch of cool music content. We were able to do a bunch of videos because we all stayed quarantined. So we were pretty chill about doing videos with each other and a couple other people that we keep on. So yeah, I mean, we ended up doing a bunch of really fun stuff and doubling down on like this podcast. Like this, honestly, this podcast was a big chunk of our 2020. Was like figuring stuff out about this, doing a bunch of pre-episodes, like figuring out what we wanted to talk about, the logistics of getting the, everything together, the artwork, all that.
You know what? I think that's actually a great point. A good example of what this year has been like for both of us is listen to the first episode and then listen to this one and just hear how different we are when we're
Yeah,
talking.
that's true.
Because that's not even like a growing pains thing with just like podcasting. That's like I feel like a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really do. Like a lot has changed and I am the happiest I've ever been, even though I'm not relying on music, which is
Yeah.
weird. And I feel like you're kind of in the same boat. It might not
Mm-hmm.
be as drastic, but like you altogether, like you just seem a lot more confident overall about like who you are and what you're doing, because
For sure.
I feel like we both kind of had that same realization of like, oh wait, it's okay to like not have it all together. And
Mm-hmm.
like learning, oh yeah, I didn't really talk about it, but another thing is I realized that, there's two things in music, right? You have running a business and then you have trying to make it. As all the people not in the music industry, like,
Yeah.
did you
Like,
make it? No, not yet.
yeah.
Those are like two completely different things, and they rarely cross over with one another,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the bigger projects aren't going to be susceptible to like your used car sales pitch, right?
Yeah.
And what I learned this year is that there's two different things, and I don't know if I want to be known as that guy who just runs a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if I just want to be that guy that runs a business. As much as I love it, like, I don't know if I just want to, be putting out this content and working with younger artists. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And I always want to work with younger artists because that's where you could be the most creative.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I'm in this place right now where I just want to work on the things that I want to work on with the
Mm-hmm.
people that I want to work with. And the only way to do that is by talking to people and meeting people and making friends.
For sure.
And that's something that I severely neglected before. Is I treated everything like a business and I didn't treat humans like humans. And honestly, there's probably a ton of people that think I suck because of that. Like seriously, like there's probably a lot of people who are like, yeah, that guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just had to like turn someone down the other day pretty harshly because of the quality of work that they were putting out. And I had to get brutally honest. And they're probably like, man, that guy sucks. But the honest truth is, like, I'm in a place where everything matters. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I have the power to pick what projects I get to work on is just incredible. Like
Hmm.
it's the most freedom I've ever had in my career. And
It is more important at the stage that we're at to
yep,
be choosy.
yep.
And like this is a hard pill for some people to swallow too. I guess we're just dropping some truths on this one. Uh, if it's not good enough, there is a standard of not good enough. Art is art, but there's also a baseline of quality in songwriting, quality in production, quality in mix. And if it's not at least good enough, it's kind of not worth our time. And I'm not trying to say that in a way that, I mean, that kind of makes me seem like a douche, but like I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that in a way of like we have to be really particular about what we put our name to, because we're at a
Right. Do you
critical point in our careers.
right? Do you want like like could you imagine like finally getting like a meeting with the label, right? And you're like, "This is it. I'm going to get my production deal or whatever you're going
Mm-hmm.
for." And then you sit down and they're like, "Well, yeah, so we were going through your portfolio and we found this. Can you explain that?" And it sounds like it was mixed like on one of those Tascam 8 tracks in some
Yeah.
guy's basement. And you're like, you have to sit there and explain that, like I that's the reason why I had to turn down a project. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was like, to be fair, they did hit me with the good old fashioned, I don't want to disrespect your worth, but can you write an entire song for $50? And I was like, that's like the same thing as like those people who are like, I'm not racist, but, and then after the but, they say something that's completely racist.
Yeah.
Like that's basically what they just did. Like, I don't
Yeah.
mean to insult you, but let me insult you.
They did the financial version of that.
And like the guys are all cool. Like I think
Yeah.
that they're great people, and so I didn't even take that personally until I heard what the mixes were like, and I
Yeah.
had to just flat out be like, "Hey, dude, that song I did for you last time, I don't want to credit," which
Yeah.
sucks because like I need credits right now. But
Mm-hmm.
at first he was kind of like upset that I would say something like that, but I think I got my point across in a level-headed manner because I'm despite me being great at talking to people, I'm still really bad at written communication, and I always sound like Gordon Ramsay whenever like I could be like, "Hey man, nice job," and if you're reading that text, it's just like, "Hey man, you suck." So I think he kind of got the point across that like I wasn't.
Oh.
It was nothing personal. Like if anybody sent me that, I'd be like, "Don't put my name on that." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's
Yeah, you never
whatever.
know
But
what people are going to hear. So you want it to be you want everything that with your name attached to it to be of quality that you're proud of. Um Obviously not everything can be that way, but you got to try at least.
and you know what though? As you like look at bigger and bigger projects and like people who are working on these bigger projects, it only gets worse.
Mhm.
It only gets so much worse. And highly recommend listening to Live with Matt Rad
Mhm.
because they give you great insights on what it's like working in the big leagues
Yeah.
because it's crazy. You have A&R reps making decisions against what an artist wants, and you just have to make those changes despite it ruining the song in your opinion and the artist's opinion.
Because that's what the label wants.
Yep. And even though you just poured your heart and soul into that production, you have to completely change it and make
Yep.
it into exactly what you didn't want. But then you have to go home and still be like, I killed it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, that's
and
hard, man, And so,
yeah.
like, I guess in a way, like, it is harsh, but, like, it only gets worse as you
Yeah,
move up.
and you're not going to I don't know. I mean, think about it like I'm not calling us big timer by any means, but what I am saying is that we are we we need people that are on a higher level to see stuff that we do and be like, "Yo, that's tight. I have an artist that sounds something like that or could use that style. Like, I need them to do that because this is exactly what I was looking for."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and like I said, we're not. It makes us come across as super big-headed about ourselves, and we're not trying to be. It's just at where we're at, that's what we're doing.
Dude, my friend, okay, I had a song mixed by my friend, and we sent it out to two different mastering engineers, and I ended up liking the one master a lot besides the snare, and I didn't feel like making him change it. So I ended up going with my mix engineer's master. But even he was like, hey man, just so you know, like, no offense, but if you choose one of those masters, like, I've listened to both of them, and I won't put it on my portfolio. So like, just wanted to let you know that up front so you aren't like upset. And I was like, dude, I wouldn't be upset. Like, I get it. I'm the same exact way. You know?
No,
I mean,
for
there's
sure.
things that I've worked on front to back that I don't want people to hear.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure,
And
for
like,
sure.
it's just kind of like how things work. Sometimes people do work on things and then the end result isn't what they really wanted. And
Yep.
like, that's okay. That's just a part of the industry.
So, ending the year, we kind of like highlighted a bunch of random stuff and kind of jumped around a little bit. But ending the year, firstly, ending the year, you dropped a song, or I guess to start the year, you dropped a song.
Yeah, I did drop a song. It's
So
called Left on Red.
if anybody wants to know what Josh's beautiful singing voice sounds like, it's out there for the world to hear. That
Oh,
and
yeah.
one other song.
Yeah, there's one other song that I released last year just for fun. Yeah, I don't know. I do these things because it's like it's like they're songs that nobody wants, but my friends like. So I put them out so my friends can listen to them.
Heck yeah.
And I'm
So
gonna
yeah,
keep doing it because it's kind of cool.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, no one even listens to them, but it's okay. It's just like the act of doing it is like cool.
I have it on my playlist for the coffee shop. So,
Aw.
uh
Does your coffee shop have an ASCAP license?
I think so actually. I
They
think they pay.
better. They
I think they
better.
pay. I think they pay. No, it's Spotify. You'll get paid regardless.
Oh yeah, true. Well, no, that's.
I know.
I looked
but
it up. I keep.
I know.
I can't say too much,
there's a
but
retail
I
there's
keep
a retail
threatening.
license for that stuff.
I always joke around with my manager about that. I'm like, hey man, just so you know, I'm an ASCAP member, and he's like, God, those guys are so annoying. So like anytime like if I ask like, you know, like when we were discussing holiday hours and stuff, I was like, hey, if I'm coming into work, like I'm calling ASCAP. Like, what a stupid way to threaten
so
somebody.
dumb.
Like,
So dumb.
I'll call ASCAP. Yeah, that's me.
That's
What's
so
up?
dumb. That's so dumb. Anyway, yeah. So Josh dropped a single. It's dope. Left on Red, right? And it's everywhere if you want to hear Josh's songwriting and his pop rock kind of sad boy songwriting.
Shout out to my brother for the sick album artwork.
Oh yeah,
He's becoming quite the artist, man.
Right?
I'm so proud of him. If I was as talented as him, I'd be famous by now.
for sure.
So that's pretty cool.
He's working on it.
Anyway, I think that's all we got for this episode. We've been talking
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah, I was gonna do what
Oh.
New Year's resolutions,
Oh, this is easy.
business
Lose
wise.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I was just lose 30 pounds.
Okay,
That's a business decision, bro.
that's fair.
If I feel better, I'll run a business better, right?
True.
I want to meet more people. I want to move away from here. And I want to I haven't set like definite goals yet because goals bum me out. So I've been trying to like make actions my resolution instead. So I haven't put hard numbers on anything yet just because like how busy I am.
Yeah.
But I simply want to meet a bunch of new people and work on a bunch of new songs and keep doing that until I end up with
a good way.
a publishing deal.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
I
it.
think I've kind of gotten to that point now where it's like before my goal was to like run a business and chase a publishing deal, but now it's like all I want to do is just write songs.
Yeah, just go pub
Like
deal.
like what's the point of turning your dream into this, you know, mechanical entity if what my dream really is to simply write songs.
Yeah. Sounds like
So
move
that's
to
the new goal.
Nashville. Move to Nashville, get a pub deal.
That's it.
That's the
That's
goal.
it. And by that's it, I mean that's a really
That's a big
tough thing.
that's a big goal.
But every day,
Yeah.
talking to new people,
One more decision, one more conversation.
that's the goal. You know what? That's my goal. One new conversation with one new person a day.
That's a good one. I think that's a super solid goal. Last
Bro, I
year,
followed this mix engineer on
yeah.
Instagram. I forget his name. It's Josh something. He's in
Okay.
Nashville. It's Josh. It's like Bonaro or something like that.
Okay.
It's definitely not Bonobo because that is a store. Um, but I remember probably like a year or two ago, he posted on Instagram and he said, "You'd be surprised what you could do if you showed up every single day for a year." And that has stuck with me ever since I
Yeah.
saw that
Yeah.
because it's like that's true. The only
Mhm.
reason why you're struggling is because you're not consistent,
Mhm.
you know? And if you listen to all these people talk about other successful people that they've worked with, they always say the same thing. And it's like, it's incredible how focused and consistent that they are. Those are the
Mhm.
two things that you'll see anybody talk about from anyone who's successful. Like Elon Musk gets up every day and he's like, I am going to do psychedelics and get on the moon or Mars or whatever he's trying
Whatever
to
the
do.
heck it is, yeah.
You know, and it's like it's working.
I mean, he's doing it. So yeah, for me last year, so me and Aaron had a joint goal. Business wise, last year I wanted to, like I said, double income, and I have, which is good. Even through a COVID year, it was really stinking hard, and I did a lot of work that I didn't want to do, but
Yeah,
I
you
made it
did.
happen. I made it happen. Uh, but we had a home goal of we're trying to be more sustainable. So we stopped buying paper towels. We have
Did you
not
stop
used
buying
paper.
toilet paper?
No,
Oh,
we don't use paper towels in our house as we haven't all year in 2020, and we still won't. We use like wash rags and reusable stuff. So, um, yeah, that was a goal for Aaron to be more sustainable in general and to minimalize our life. So, I mean, you've seen our house. We
hmm.
have a very minimalistic lifestyle. So, um, yeah, that was our goal for 2020. We did pretty good. 2021, the baby is like the big thing. Make sure nothing crazy happens as much as possible. But for me, it's really, I just need to get in better shape. That's really all it is. Like,
Yeah, I feel that.
I need
I
to
need to
do,
lose a quick 30
yeah,
pounds or
I
so.
need to, I'm trying to get in really good shape before I'm 30 in August. So we'll see how that works out. But that's the goal. Um, and I don't know. I think like business wise, I'm just trying to do. I'm kind of set at the double income thing at this point. I'm gonna push that to the side. And right now, I think this year I want to try and do more higher profile work.
Because you're in that
That's
position now where it's like I can afford to get paid less just to
yeah, exactly,
get on
exactly.
it,
And
you know?
it's I want to do some stuff. Really, a label gig is what I want. I want to start trying to get stuff that goes on a label of note. That's kind of it
Yeah. I
for
think we're kind of in the
2021.
same boat, you know?
Yeah.
My big
Uh,
thing is I just want to work with artists who are doing numbers. And like
well,
that sounds so
yeah,
superficial, but like for real, like
it matters.
if I could just have a community of artists that are all doing well streaming wise, that means that they don't have to pay me anything up front,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I'm able to just walk in, write with them, have a great time, drink tequila, and then it comes out and then I get paid like a year later. Like
For sure.
dream, dude.
Yeah.
Dream.
The other
I'll wait a year
thing,
for that paycheck.
the other thing that I think me and you had talked about a little bit last year as a goal that in the later half of the year, barring vaccines coming out, the world opening back up a little more normally, is to try and do writing days in Nashville.
Yeah.
Set up writing sessions a couple times a quarter, or like once a quarter, but do it for like a week and have one or two every single day, where we just go and write and meet people, and that kind of goes along with your like having a new conversation with new people every day.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that is really dependent on the world.
Yeah.
So I'm not really holding on to that one too much, but that one is a goal for the world to go back to normal, so that me and you can do some of the stuff that we want to do, planning wise and in person and travel wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those of you listening, tell us what I'm going to make a post on Instagram when this episode drops. Tell us what some of your goals are, or some of the things that you want to kind of achieve this year, whether personal
and your favorite anime.
And your favorite anime. Yeah. I'll do a post of what's your goal and your favorite anime. There you go. Well, yeah, when this episode drops, we'll do some sort of story post about that, so that you can respond in stories, and we'll share them all and try to tag people and stuff. But yeah, I think 2020 is over. 2021 is here, and we are trying to level up just a little bit more. And like you said, all it is consistency. As consistent as you can be. And
that's all it is.
Be consistent and forgive yourself when you're not.
Yep. Be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself. All right. Good conversation, man. Let's say bye to everybody. Goodbye, everybody. And we will see you next week.
Yeah. See you around.
Peace. And that's it for this episode of the Home Studio Hangout podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please check us out on your favorite podcasting platform. Leave a review. It helps the show so much. Kind of get out there for new people to find. If you want to watch this, if you aren't already, check us out on YouTube by searching Home Studio Hangout. And thank you so much again for giving us your time and your attention. And remember, keep on creating.